Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first official episode of the Spawn Trap podcast, the only podcast that Batman is allowed to pleasure sexually. I am joined by Court FTW from Streamers Unknown.
Hello.
And Matt.
G'day.
And we started this channel around E3. And what's going on at E3. So we did like live reactions and stuff like that. We did a test podcast that's over on our YouTube channel. And we're going to start doing these video podcasts on our YouTube channel as well. So if you're listening, if I have this uploaded as an audio thing, I haven't really set that up yet as of recording this. But we're going to be doing video on YouTube. So if you want to see our beautiful faces, it's over on our YouTube channel. But yeah, so, since I figured like we started everything around E3. I would like to have like discussions about what we thought of E3, what did we like, what didn't we like. I already lost my list. Here we go. So if me and Court we watched a lot of things live. What did you think about E3 this year?
I think for myself, it was my first time actually watching almost all of it. So because I remember the years prior, I always would just get like the little like clips here and there, and I think I was able to watch like one or two main things with Util like in the previous years. So this year, I kind of going into it, I didn't really have any sort of expectation. I definitely really enjoyed the Summer Games Fest or whatever. I found like
With
that
Jeff
was like
Keighley.
way to kick it off. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually really liked that one. That one felt really like a way to start E3. There were a few obviously presentations that were kind of like oh my god, like can we start drinking?
Yeah,
Get
for
this over
sure.
with. It's too early. But I definitely think, Xbox had one of the better presentations, and like Nintendo did a pretty good job as well. And just like, it was really interesting to kind of see the games that are coming out, and it makes me really excited for the next like year. So yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Matt, unfortunately, was not able to join us during the live streams of E3. What did you catch of the show this year?
Very little, actually. Obviously, I did watch a bit of the recap that you guys did on the Guerrilla Collective, I think you said it was.
Mm-hmm.
Heaps of cool indie games. Just
Yeah.
unfortunate I don't remember any of the names of them.
So which lists are for?
Yeah.
It's so weird calling it like E3 when it wasn't like E3. It was just a bunch of other companies doing like their own thing, but we still refer to it as like E3.
Yeah. And I feel like
Have you ever gone to like the actual like E3 like event and stuff like in person?
That's usually held in Los Angeles, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never left the country. Don't think I will for another couple of years yet. So
yeah.
Right. I was supposed to go last year, and then the pandemic hit, and like everything got canceled. So I was like, oh, so this is like like I don't like, for E3, like this is just what I expected it to be, because all the other times that I've ever seen E3 has always just been online.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what most people like, from what I've heard from like people in the industry who actually go to these events. It's very much, or it used to be anyways. They changed it over the recent years, but it used to be an industry event where it was primarily for press, and then the showcases were like, it's more like an investor thing, but people online just watched those showcases, and so they only saw like the cool side of things. And then when you get to the industry people, like they kind of like dread it. It's like it's just so much work, and like they're like, yeah, people online, you're seeing the fun side of E3 that we wish we could just
Yeah.
do, like
Live.
yeah. But now they open it up as like a convention, and then I agree with Matt. I think it felt like everybody doing their own thing, because it's kind of like what happened, last year, that there was no E3. They had to cancel because of the pandemic, and everyone was forced to do their own things online. And I think they felt that, we know how to do this now. This is something that we can do. Like EA isn't showing up to E3. They're doing their own event later this month. So, I think, and then there's Jeff Keighley, who started Summer Game Fest, which, was coincidentally the pandemic happened when like right after he announced that he was doing his own thing for E3 and he's going to skip E3. So it kind of worked out for him. So now you have those like two events kind of colliding, and then all those other publishers going, well, I guess we're part of both now, but we're also doing our own thing. So I completely agree. It felt like it didn't really feel like E3.
Yeah, there was also a lot of like overlapping
Mm-hmm.
because of that. I feel like there was a lot of like same presentations, like same trailers and stuff, which I get, but a part of me is like maybe they could have formulated that a little bit better.
I agree. That's something that's on my, you know, like something that I think was a huge disappointment on E3. Not that like I was upset that there were so many games, but there were a lot of games that were showcased in multiple areas. So there was the Guerrilla Collective. E3 had their own indie showcase. Summer Game Fest. Upload VR had their own thing. There's the Future Game Show. PC Gamer had their PC gaming show, and a lot of those showcases had the same games in all of them. So it was like you were watching the same game announcement over and over again. And those showcases ran long. Like I think wasn't the PC Gamer one like an hour and a half or 2 hours long or something like that. And
I think I even wrote down the time for that one.
yeah, because I think you
I
were
was
part of
like,
that, and we were like, all right, these are great games, but like this is way too long.
yeah, I think that was when I like stopped like
Yes.
writing down, or like I was like, I'm just gonna write down the ones I like names of people in the industry and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I think I remember that one. That was one of the longest because I think at one point we all we're like, oh, I gotta have breakfast. I haven't eaten at all today. We're like, damn.
And the fact that it was like back to back, there was like the PC gaming show, then there was the future game show, and they had those like together. I feel like they like next year they gotta figure it out. They gotta have more cohesion and like shorten it. E3 didn't need to be 4 days long. It could have been done in a weekend. It could have just been 2 days.
Yeah, just like I definitely agree with that. Just very like just 2 days. That's all you need. Summer Game Fest and then 2 days of E3. That's it.
I think they were like positioning it around what they did in the past because they had the show floor for like the press, and then they had now it's become an expo, so they had like open floor for everybody to go and try out these games. But it wasn't in person. It was a virtual event, and like you can't like try to fill time spreading out those days to try to make it seem like the same thing. I feel like they should have treated it as a virtual event and scheduled stuff and condensed it to the 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't think people have that sort of attention span to sit through. I mean, I did. I took the time to like plan for all that. But like I don't think most people I don't think most people are like, let me watch 4 days of game announcements. I don't think most people are gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, imagine calling up your boss. Yeah, I need to take days off so I can watch video game presentations.
Exactly.
Right. I work in a video or a video game place, so it's like I like they totally understand. That's why I had written all my stuff down, because then afterwards I like was able to know what to talk about, know what to tell people, and like was up to date. So man, if I ever called in, I gotta watch E3, sorry, and they're like, all right, that's fine. Just get back to us with your notes. It'll be homework for you.
So Court, what games did you like from the show? I'm gonna pull up trailers and stuff.
Let's see, because the first one, the first big video thing was Guerrilla Collective. I don't think I liked a lot of games from there. Like some of them looked really interesting and everything. I think they were they indie games?
Yeah.
But I remember Chernobyl Light was like really interesting. And I feel like, but at the same time, I felt like there were, it's either they kept repeating Chernobyl Light, or there was just like a lot of games recently that have been like revolving around like Chernobyl.
Yeah.
I don't like it, or like just like kind of that feel, which it's kind of interesting.
I felt that
Kraken
too,
Academy was the one we were like with the tentacles, and we're like, I know where this is going. I did like the presenters though. Like they seem like I liked that where it's just the two of them. It's not a big stage. It's like a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
They're like, let's check out these because like, but at the same time, it's like the value of it when you have like these big stages and then you're making it as if you're there, which I appreciated. But I almost prefer this over like the big open spaces to be like FIFA,
Like compared to
right? You're like,
compared to Summer
no.
Game Fest when they had like the stage, you mean? Like you prefer
Yeah,
the Guerrilla
you,
Collective, or they're like close on like it's more
yeah.
personal?
I guess I kind of liked both, but I prefer this method. It's just it just seems more personal, like or personal, and then just more directly to the audience
Mm-hmm.
than as if you're in the audience. It's more direct in that way. So, but yeah, I feel like out of those ones, those were the two games that kind of like stuck out at me. There was Retro Ninja too that now I'm like, what is that game? Now I'm like, what are these games? Like there was so many things I wrote
I will
down.
try to find the trailer and pull it up here.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm showcasing my screen, right? You guys can see.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff on the Guerrilla Collective. I have both days because there was 2 days for the Guerrilla Collective. One of them was not during E3. It was before then. So that was the first day, and then the second day was like, I think it was like the day of E3, like in the morning. So that was like the first thing that was happening.
Yeah, that was early in the morning too, I think.
What was the game?
I was just waking up. There was Chernobyl Light, and then there was Kraken Academy, which I think I saw like a couple of times. But can we pause right there for a second? I have to switch my laundry. I just
Okay.
I'm like, oh no. So give me
Matt and I will
second.
continue, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's yeah, I have this
There's a laundry switch up.
Yeah, laundry switch up.
Thing.
Oh, sorry. Like my computer's like popping out when I'm pulling up YouTube videos apparently. So hopefully it doesn't crash while we're in the middle of this podcast. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just about to say it did chop a bit when you opened the video, but it's fine once it's opened.
Yeah. So this is Chernobyl, yeah. But I did find that.
Oh yeah.
I did find that there was a lot of games that were centered around Chernobyl or like a big nuclear radiation thing. So this wasn't the only game.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this one now, and it looked pretty horrific, as in terrifying.
Yeah.
So I won't be playing it.
It's also like Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. So I like this website that just pulls up everything. This is e3recap.com, specifically 2021 E3 recap or .e3recap.com. I've just discovered this site. It makes things so much easier finding the games that were featured. So kudos to whoever made this. But yeah, we had a special guest joining some of our streams, Icy Arrow, and both of us noticed while we were watching these games, a lot of games featured there's like witches and stuff, but there was a lot of grandmas in games. So we were like joking like this is the year of grandmas.
That's hilarious. And I mean, yeah, I've from looking a lot of the stuff it's got a real horror witch nuclear disaster vibe to it.
Yeah. This
is
is Kraken Academy. We have our reaction video of this up on our Instagram. But yeah, it's I know that Court and Jordan really like this trailer. It's very weird. They actually introduced it as a weird game made by weird people.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, what I have like highlighted, I think I have stuff starred here for like what I really like. There's this cool game called Fire Girl, which is like it's a platformer. I spelled girl wrong. There we go. So yeah, you're a firefighter. So it's a side-scrolling platformer, but you're a firefighter, and you're putting out fires. So this is the game from the Guerrilla Collective that I really liked. It looks really
Which game was
cool.
this?
Fire Girl. It was like one of the first few games that they showed.
Yeah, that looks like a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's like a pixelated art style, but like 3D backgrounds and like really bright animated fire and it's really
Is that a
cool
gangster
lighting.
just dancing while his buildings burning down?
There's a lot. I think you'll find I favorited a lot of just weird looking games. Because yeah, the other one like speaking of, I'll probably one of my favorite ones that was shown, The Legend of Tian Ding. Legend of of course I'm gonna get Legend of Zelda. Yeah, right here. So I'm not playing the music, but like the music in this trailer really got me. They used a really good background song, but I like the art style of this. It looks just really crazy. There's like comic book sort of like pop up effects and everything. Um, there's like one point where like the character's like pulling a rickshaw and then he uses the rickshaw as a weapon. So like this whole trailer was crazy.
Oh, there it
And
is.
yeah. So I really like this one. This is probably one of my favorite games that was shown off. But yeah, that's a Guerrilla Collective. There's like a lot of other ones I would mention. They showed off Ghost Runner, which is a game that I think that's a game that's already out. Um I really liked Origami 2. I never played the first game. Ramen is the one. I don't know if you remember that. There's it's like um I don't know what kind of game it's like, but it's like I don't know, it's a multiplayer game, but you're like fighting with food. I don't know if you remember that one.
Really?
Yeah. Um but yeah, Run Die Run Again is the other one I'm thinking of. Um but I would recommend checking those ones out. And then the big event was the Summer Games Fest kickoff. So me and Court watched that live. What did you think of that event?
The Summer Games kickoff. Is that Summer
Yeah.
Games Fest, right?
Yes.
That like it was probably my favorite part of E3 aside from Nintendo Direct. Just because Kojima was there and predicting the future like always. And there were like a lot of really good showcasing of games. They even had like Prime Gaming and like Ryan Reynolds and stuff like that show up.
There's a lot of like
Um,
advertising kind of stuff, like a lot of things that paid the bills for
yeah,
that event. Yeah.
you gotta put what's your dues in, right? But I think my favorite part was just they were showing Death Stranding director's cut, and it was literally just a scene of Norman Reedus getting into a box, ducking, and then like getting back out of a box. And I'm like,
Yeah.
masterpiece, brilliant.
I think that was just I'm trying to find the point in the video, but I think that was just like a little homage
Just a little showcase, yeah.
to what's that game called?
Like Splinter Cell or
well,
Metal Gear,
Metal
right?
Gear,
Because
yeah,
Kojima, yeah, because he was the
I don't even know where that
person
is.
for Metal Gear.
Can't find it.
But I
Yeah.
feel like Kojima's secretly a troll too. Like he just kind of like does these really funny things, and then people like kind of like, haha, you're so funny, and then it's like serious, and you're like, oh.
I think so too. Yeah, I think he's a little bit of a troll.
Yeah, which is because he had Conan O'Brien like in Death Stranding and like a couple of other like comedians just for like little tidbits. And then there's one part in Death Stranding where if you like there's these side quests that you can just do like to deliver stuff, and one of them is pizza. just deliver pizza. And that was one of the things that I was like, no, because it's a timed quest, and I'm just like, it's too stressful for me, even though I have a bike that I can just ride out on. But if you did that side quest, it actually opened up an Easter egg, because the main antagonist, Higgins, like it's like his underground bunker, and it has all the little like background stuff of him like watching like the Sam deliver stuff, and all the background, like all this like really great Easter egg stuff. But you had to like do all 4 or 5 of these like pizza delivery quests. So I was like, why would you just put this in there? Like,
well, I can't find the Kojima part, but I did glance over, I think, a game that we were interested in. There was that vampire one. I think they showed it off during
Vampire with Powers Blood Hunt. That's the one where I just recently got the email, and the open beta starts really soon.
Okay. I thought I just saw it in this video, but I guess I missed it. But yeah, Blood Hunt looks cool. It's like I'll try to find
Vampires with Powers. That's literally what I wrote down.
It's a vampire battle royale. So it is a battle royale. I know we were wondering that, and we were like debating if it was. I typed in battle instead of so Blood Hunt, right?
Battle royale.
Is it 2 words? Blood Hunt.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then I think the other big announcement from that show was Elden Ring, which I think, from memory, from us watching it, I mean, it is a really big game. A lot of people looking forward to. I don't think we, as the 3 of us who live reacted to it, I don't think it was personally of interest to us. I mean, it looks cool. Maybe I'll try it out. It looks like it's going to be a Game Pass game, so I'm down to try it out. But were any of you guys interested in Elden Ring?
No, it's like Cyberpunk for me. It's been in development for years. And I've lost interest at this point.
Is it I don't know if you have Game Pass, but like if you do, is it coming to Game Pass change like how you view that at all?
No, because I don't own an Xbox.
What if it's on Game Pass on PC? I don't know if you have Game Pass on PC.
Maybe that's how I ended up playing Outer Worlds.
Okay.
Is via the Game Pass on PC. Like, I'll definitely try it if I can spend the least amount of money as possible on it.
Yeah.
I know, like, a lot of games, I think the Xbox Showcase, which we can get into next, but I think the Xbox Showcase, a lot of that was, I'm a Game Pass subscriber, so I see a lot of games like, all right, that looks cool, I'm gonna try that out because I have Game Pass. So like that whole showcase, like, look, it was just really cool to me. And I thought Xbox had probably the best showcase of anybody during E3. And
yeah. Now, okay, so with Game Pass, is it, because you said you try out the games, like, are those games only available for a limited time?
Some have been taken away before.
It's like Netflix, right?
Yeah, I think they've got licensing deals, don't they, Till?
Yeah, there is that sort of like Xbox or Netflix aspect to it, where they have licenses and it's available for a certain period of time. But Xbox is they're a publishing platform, and they own a lot of studios, and they keep acquiring a lot of studios. So anything that Xbox owns, they have the rights to and the studios to, those are always going to be available on Game Pass. They want to make sure that is available. So any like first party stuff, so Halo, Elden Ring, anything from Bethesda, anything new is going to be launched on day 1 on Game Pass. So those big titles, you don't have to worry about buying a new game every time. Here's a Bethesda banner right here. Actually, they're showing more than Bethesda, but Hellblade, Sea of Thieves, Gears of War, Forza, all those games that Microsoft owns, those are just always Game Pass games. So they're trying to give you as much value as possible on Game Pass.
Which makes sense, like, because they're constantly pushing like Game Pass,
Mhm.
and I feel like it's been a very slow roll for them, because I remember when it first came out, and we're like, oh, it actually has really decent games, but that might not have been like a lot. And then now I feel like with this E3 was like their time to really shine and push these big names and be like available on Game Pass. So then that way it's like, because my buddy, he just got an Xbox the other day. I was even tempted to buy one today because I was like, I got a little bit extra money, and I was just like, there's Project Scorpio just sitting there. I'm like, maybe I should buy it. And like, it's a special edition one, and
it's hard to find.
yeah, right, yeah, and exactly. And I like collecting things, and I was thinking, I was like, it like, because even with him, I was like, you need to like, what other games do you have? And he's like, because he got the digital only, and he's like, oh, like, what do you want to see? And I was like, see if they have this game, and he would just like search it, and like, I made him download Tell Me Why, because I've been on them about that, because it's
it
free,
was
and I was like,
free. Yeah.
you play the game. And I was like, you download it right now. And then yeah, sure enough, it was right there. He's like, yeah, he's like, it feels like it's Netflix but for video games, where you just get to play whatever. My only thing with it is that like, I would be really like, because this is why I buy physical, is because when I buy certain games, I want to complete them, and I want to like be able to take my time, and then you know, in the future, maybe if I feel like trade it in later, if it's not something that I'm collecting. But I feel like if it's so readily available to me, I'd be less likely to play it and to play it through, or I'd have to really dedicate my time. I don't know, and
Because
like,
you
and then to
put
know
the
that it might
purchase
like,
in on a full game, so you feel like you need to have
yeah,
that.
so I
Okay.
better put in the hours, man, the hours and time. And it's like, I've just always been that way, where it's like, if I buy a game, I have to complete it, or I can't, or like, or it'll stay in my inventory forever until I'm done it. So
I think for
except for
me,
like Steam games.
yeah, for like, I don't view it that way. I view it as, you know, all the big games that I'm looking for, and Xbox owns a lot of them. All the big games I'm looking forward to. Like, if I was to buy each of them individually, I'm already saving so much with Game Pass. Plus, I got all these other games that I can just try anytime I have them, and it's not just because I have the ultimate version of Game Pass, so I have that accessibility through Xbox, through my PC, and through mobile on my phone. I got the new
Yeah, didn't
Razer
they
Kishi
just do
controller.
that?
Well, they've been doing it for a while. I mean, they were like beta testing it for a while because it's such a new concept, cloud streaming through these games, and it's only getting better.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're adding new games. They already announced like other games coming out soon that you can play on mobile. They're adding touch controls to a bunch of games that didn't have touch controls before. So yeah, this was, and I think Xbox has done this type of showcase last year as well. Where it's just like, here's game after game after game, and by the way, all of them are coming to Game Pass. So this is really a trailer for Game Pass and why you should buy their subscription. It's not like this is why you need the Xbox console, because they showed like all these games also coming to PC. You can play it on, like, some of them coming to mobile sometimes. So they're not really selling you on the Xbox, they're selling you on the Game Pass subscription.
Yeah. I feel like that's why they made it a lot cheaper than compared to the PS5 and stuff, especially digital, because I feel like that's like an entry, that's your hook in, because they made a digital only for the exact same price as a new PS4. And so you're like more likely to buy that, and then suddenly you're like, well, I don't want to download games because there's not a lot of space. So then you do Game Pass, and you have access to all these things, and then now you're hooked on Game Pass, and then you start upgrading, and then you're like suddenly within that like network and stuff. So
well, Game Pass you still have to download, but there is a streaming component. Like, you can stream through your console starting soon. I think they're going to be implementing that soon, where you can just stream from the console. But this is you still have to like download your games, but that's absolutely right. There was that during the Epic and Apple like lawsuit that's going on. There was a lot of industry stuff that was revealed, and one of that was that Microsoft never makes any profit off hardware. So it's all off other things like these subscription services.
And that's the biggest thing, because
yeah.
I know that aspect as well. Like,
Mhm.
when it comes to like what you make from console, even like right now, them selling like the Series X's and S's and the PS5s and stuff, they're actually not making any money. They're losing money
Yeah.
from those consoles because of everything that's going on. And so that's why, even with like physical games and stuff, I remember slowly those shelves got almost smaller.
Mhm.
And it's like, but because they're just constantly pushing the subscription base, and I feel like a lot of things are being pushed into these subscription based like things, like it's just like Netflix kind of started it all. I feel, because they were like, yeah, you
Well,
just pay
yeah,
this month and you
there's
get all
other
access to all these
things.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that, and then Patreon's like a monthly based thing,
Mhm.
like even like supplements now, protein powders and
Yeah.
stuff. You can do like you
Everything.
pay every month and you get like a box of things, of supplements to take that month.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, everything. And so I feel like they really saw that, and they saw the profit in a subscription based thing, and they're like, let's make it great. And Sony hasn't picked up on that yet.
I think
And
yeah, I think it's just like that recurring revenue, like even if people don't use it, because sometimes like if you offer something so cheap and it's like, oh, it's a monthly subscription, it only costs this much, you can get access to all this stuff, and here's a free trial, or here's a trial. In the case of Xbox, they usually do, like 3 months for $1. After the
yeah.
3 months, you might forget that you have Game Pass, and it just
Yeah,
does
that's
the
what they bank
automatic
on.
subscription. Yeah. So even if you're
Yeah, and then
not
you're there for
using
another
it,
3 months.
they might still have that recurring revenue, even if you don't realize you're still paying for it.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, that's
definitely
how I feel about
Mhm.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It's so cheap. I don't use Amazon Prime at all. I don't, I'm barely on Twitch, so I don't use any of the Amazon stuff on there.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
occasionally watch the video stuff,
Yeah,
but it's so cheap that I don't even notice it being
exactly.
billed
Yeah,
each month.
I do once a year, and I have to check sometimes. I'm like, did I pay? And it's like, yeah, it's still going. And I'm like, I don't like. I feel like they haven't actually charged me. Like, that's how it feels. And like, but I use Amazon Prime all the time, and like
Yeah.
all that jazz. But it's like, even though like the drama there, but yeah, it's like I have to check when it renews, because I always forget, and I've had it for years, and I'm just like, oh, did I pay it? It'll figure it out. Like, and like sometimes I'll even call them and like say if there's any issues, and I'll be really nice with them, and I'll be like, I know it's not you guys, it's the delivery, blah blah blah, but I appreciate your guys' like being great for customer service, and then they give me like 3 months. They're like, you know what, we're gonna like push it. I'm like, thank you. Like, woo! It pays to compliment companies. I got sent a gift package of Kit Kats because I called them and told them how I
To Amazon?
loved their chocolate. Not
Oh,
Amazon. No,
to
I
Kit.
just called.
Okay.
I literally bought a Kit Kat bar and called them on the back, and I was like, "Where do I go to place a compliment?" And they're
Nice.
like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, like, well, yeah, we'll totally write it down." I was like,
Nobody's
"I just
ever
want you
done
guys
this
to know."
before.
Yeah, and they were like, "What's your?" And they asked me for like my personal information, which I was totally down to give them.
Nice.
But they sent me a care package, and I was like,
Ah,
sick. Yeah, it had
there
like
you
a
go.
T-shirt
I'm
and a
gonna
hat, and
go
like,
call every beer company that
There
I
you go.
love right now.
do it. No, seriously, do it, and like just be like, this is what I love about it. But obviously, to make sure they have no correlation within each other. So they're like, who's
This
this
guy
guy?
keeps calling. He
He's
keeps
like, because he
asking for
wants
free
free
shit.
stuff. Blacklist him. Like, gotta be sneaky.
Were any of you
Anyways, back
interested?
to games.
Yeah, were any of you interested in Halo Infinite that you were showing that off? I know what the answer is for Court.
It's a Halo game.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's like doesn't look any different than any other Halo game to you.
Yeah, are they coming out with new novels? I heard their novels are great.
Mm.
There's always new stuff. I don't know if, oh man, I don't know who publishes the graphic novels. I think it's Dark Horse. I might be wrong on that, but I always see Halo graphic novels available all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah. I've never read them, so I don't know if they're any good, but I think they are well received. from what I remember.
Yeah. My one buddy raves about it. So Clark 1010, shout out.
Oh yeah.
He constantly raves about them. So, but yeah, I'm not like that. Yeah, Halo. It's just another Halo game.
Yeah, it's a bit like COD for me. They're basically
It's
templates
another
of each
game.
other with
Yep.
maybe upgraded graphics and a couple of new features each year.
Yeah, and maybe a different timeline or storyline.
Yeah,
Just to give you a purpose.
For me, it's the
beat the
multiplayer,
bad
and
guys.
the
Yeah.
multiplayer looks really fun. So I'm excited for it. And again, it's a Game Pass thing, so it's like it's already available for me right away. Um, there was a game that I was really interested in, and I remember I was talking about it on the stream before. It might have been just to my brother, or I might have been talking about it on the stream. I'm like, I miss having a really good snowboarding game, and they
And then
showed off
there it
they
is.
showed off a snowboarding game. I'm like, this looks really great. So yeah, so I think it's called Shredders. So it's not quite SSX. It doesn't look like over the top, crazy tricks that defy physics. This just looks like a regular snowboarding game. But it looks totally my style. I know there's Riders Republic also coming out, which has like snowboarding stuff, but also like mountain biking and a bunch of other shit. And it's a big, like, massively multiplayer online world where you're playing with a bunch of people. This seems it's just strictly snowboarding, and which is what I want. It's just a strictly snowboarding focused game. Because I do enjoy those kind of games, and I feel like we just haven't seen them in a long time. So that was my like get hyped moment for the Xbox showcase there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've played snowboarding games and the controls were just atrocious where I would just
There are some
not
that are
have
like
any.
really bad controls.
Yeah. But snowboarding in real life is also like very
Yeah.
not the easiest thing. Like just at the end of the day, I'm just sore from just running into stuff. What else did they have? They did like there was an update for like Escape from Tarkov, which was like
Yep.
really
I think I
big
skipped over that.
because
Yeah.
that's a really good game. I've never
Yeah,
played
a
it.
lot of people were like it. Yeah, I never
Well,
played it
like
either.
it's a really great game. Like they said, I think it's like the attention to detail, but it is really heavy on your PC. Like you have to have a really good PC.
Okay.
And um, but yeah, and they just came out with like their update. Another one was like 2 Point Campus that I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like we
yeah.
were like, oh my god.
Oh, I never played any
um,
2 Point games, but I've heard they're good too.
yeah, like they just look like interactive like sim building stuff.
Yeah.
And like that's not as like just more cartoony. Chivalry 2 just came out as well. That one was a big one. Dark Pictures House of Ashes. Monster Hunter
We'll get to that
Stories
soon.
2, that one was in the game Summer Game Fest, ironically enough, which is
Monster
weird.
Hunter, yeah.
Yeah, Monster Hunter 2 Stories or Stories 2.
Yeah.
And that one's coming out super soon, and it just keeps looking better and better and better. And the updates that they actually have like after its initial release seem like well, in the chat in our community Discord, they're kind of tossing Monster Hunter Rise into the just under the back burner, and they're like, oh yeah, what's that game? No, Monster Hunter Stories. That's like because
They're already
apparently they're
done
doing
with
like
Rise.
yeah, that's what because like what they did like this update sheet, and it's just like
Yeah.
Rise is like, oh, what's that game? Yeah, I don't remember. Now it's like Monster Hunter Stories, and like there's all these like updates that are scheduled to show happen in the next coming months, like up until October, I think.
Yeah.
And apparently they're getting the really good monsters, because I think Monster Hunter World had the majority of everyone. And then if you've played the entire series and stuff like that from each of the platforms, there's like a lot of like really great monsters that people can never forget, and apparently they're putting a lot of the good ones in Monster Hunter Stories 2. So that one's definitely it's on my radar, but it comes out a week before Zelda. So I like
Yeah.
Skyward Sword. So I'm very like it's either gonna play it for a week and then
Yeah.
get Zelda,
Mhm.
but then I'm like, what's the point? Because Monster Hunter Stories is a longer game.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, okay, like, certain games I could be like, I can play this in 4 days max, and then move on to another game or something. And with this one it might be take too long, but then Skyward Sword is coming out and I have to buy that one. So I just have to. It's a standard issue. And then they did do Far Cry 6
Yep.
in this one.
There's a lot of Far Cry 6 during E3.
Yeah, because they finally got, because that was like a really anticipated one, and then they didn't have a release date, and then I think they like a week before E3 happened, they finally gave a date for that game. So I know a lot of people were pretty hype about that one.
I will wrap up the Xbox showcase for a game that I'm really excited by. This is another Bethesda game. It looks very Left 4 Dead style, but instead of zombies, you're fighting vampires. So I think also this was the year of vampires because grandmas and vampires.
This is one of the games. This is one of the games I saw that I'm hyped for.
Yeah,
it looks like so much fun.
From Arcane Austin.
What was it? What's it called?
It's called Redfall. That's what it is. So yeah, you're just fighting vampires.
Oh, I caught up in my notes. I thought we were still in Summer Game Fest or whatever, and I was just like, oh.
Yeah, we're doing the Xbox showcase here.
Redfall. I need to write that down. I feel like, oh yes, this one looks nifty. Yes.
Speaking of, I'll try to pull it up here, but yeah, speaking of Left 4 Dead, there's a lot of Back 4 Blood. Back 4 Blood had you know, it made appearances in a lot of different showcases. What I found weird, and don't get me wrong, I'm super hyped for this game. Like, this is one of the top games I'm looking forward to just because I'm a huge Left 4 Dead fan. But Warner Brothers, oh wow, I can't even watch the video. I need my VPN on. Okay, I can't even pull it up. But
oh no.
Oh wait, maybe this one will work. PvP announcement trailer. Hey, there we go. Yeah, Warner Brothers had their own dedicated showcase spot for E3. And they said, you know what? They have a lot of games coming out. They have that Hogwarts game. They got a lot of DC stuff. There is the DC Fandom event that's happening later in the year, so maybe some of that will be showcased there. But they said, no, we're only going to be showcasing Back 4 Blood. And I'm like, all right, cool. So it's a long, deep dive into the Back 4 Blood. It was a 10-minute video, like, presentation. And I'm like, this didn't need its own E3 spot. Bandai Namco did the same thing. They had a spot on E3 and they didn't announce until the morning of, hey, this is just going to be a showcase for House of Ashes. And that was 10 minutes long. And again, why were they there? So that's another one of my big disappointments of E3 is there was just so many showcases that just did not need to exist. So Bandai Namco, Back 4 Blood. And I think the big one for me, I want to pull up this article here actually, that I have saved. I was gonna like go through recaps of all these articles that I typed in here, but there's this big one here for Gearbox. Gearbox was just like awful. So there's this Forbes article here. Gearbox may have legitimately had one of the worst E3 shows in history, from Paul Tassi at Forbes. So yeah, an E3 presentation was always a big deal for a developer of any size. And so when I saw that Gearbox was doing its own standalone show this year, I was actually kind of looking forward to it. Of course, they make Borderlands. They announced the new Tiny Tina game. They make a lot of other games as well. So it was it was a decent sized showcase for Gearbox. But he says, as a big Borderlands fan, I was hoping for a deeper look at Wonderlands, which was announced at the Game Awards before this. Some news on Borderlands 4, which we know is in development, and then maybe a Borderlands movie trailer to top it off. Instead, Gearbox put on what genuinely may be one of the worst E3 shows I've ever seen, and that's saying something given the history of the event. I missed watching the show live, but after hearing just how bad it was, I forced myself to go back and watch the 30 minutes, at least half of which is spent with Randy Pitchford roaming around the set of the Borderlands movie. That's me and Icy Arrow were watching that live, and we were like, why is he talking to like everybody in the crew on the Borderlands movie? Why isn't he talking about the games?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he says, I am actually curious about the Borderlands movie, and yet this was absurd. We didn't get a trailer. We didn't even see any actors in costume. So side note, they showed the actors in silhouettes in their costumes. So we didn't even see what the costumes were.
What?
Yeah. This says the closest thing that was Gearbox showing a silhouette set shots they already posted on Twitter last week. Just ridiculous to spend so much time covering the movie and still managing to show so little from it. Yeah, so we didn't get anything for Borderlands 4, not even a title card announcement. Finally, without question, the most absurd moment of the show was a return to Godfall, the deeply terrible looter slasher that was a PS5 launch title, and one that repeatedly sold itself as only being able to run a PS5 because of its intense technical demands. Well, it turns out that's not quite true, and in what the ads kind of bumped out everything. Yeah. So it says in what might be the first ever downgrade announcement, the biggest reveal of the entire Gearbox show is that Godfall was coming to PS4 when new DLC hit. So that's just a quick
What?
recap of the Gearbox E3 showcase, which was awful. So that's another one where it's like they did not need to be there.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, similarly, there was the Ubisoft Forward. There was also the Square Enix event. How did you feel about either of those? Because I have thoughts on those. I don't know if you've even watched those ones.
Square Enix, I feel like I was
You did,
really
yeah.
excited for and was a little bit disappointed
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, yeah, Life is Strange. And they just showed the exact same trailer that I've been watching on loop
Yeah.
the last 6 months.
What about all the Final Fantasy stuff?
Okay, that was I think the only, not necessarily redeeming quality, but it was one of my like that I was like, okay, like that's really cool because now I have something to look forward to. What the fuck are you doing, hamster? What?
What about
She's laying. I'm so sorry. She's like laying on her back with her legs in the air, just staring, and I'm like, "Are you good?" Like,
there's
okay, sorry.
what I found. See, I'm not a Final Fantasy fan, so that's why I'm asking, because from what I saw online, it was not a great announcement for Final Fantasy fans. Like, first of all, they had this announcement of like all these old Final Fantasy games getting their collection, or not even a collection. You have to buy each game individually, but they're presenting it as if it was a collection, and I think it's just on mobile. Yeah, coming soon. Oh, to Steam and mobile.
And mobile. Okay.
Yeah, so you can buy each of these classic games individually, so they're not even putting it as a collection.
So it's basically what you can already get on Steam anyway, because you can already get these games.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so weird. And then they showed their final Final Fantasy game here, which from what I saw online is not what Final Fantasy fans wanted. But I don't want to like speak for anybody, but like I remember watching this, I'm like, this doesn't look like a good game.
This is Final Fantasy 16, right?
This is Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin.
Oh yeah, so that's like, okay, so that's that. Yeah, it's a bit different because that was another thing too that I almost wanted to see was like Final Fantasy 16 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like just to see it, and then I wanted to see. I mean, like, okay, now like the Life is Strange. Yeah, I got to see the trailer, and then you kind of got to see the concept of like her powers and stuff, and how we are actually able to like be using them in the game. So I'm still pretty stoked, but I just felt like they should have given us like a tidbit of something where, like, I don't know, just to like not fan service, but like just something that we could be like, oh my god, now I'm even more excited. And it was just like, yeah, I don't know. But I was still excited.
For me, you know what? The whole showcase they could have thrown the whole thing in the trash, because all I needed was Guardians of the Galaxy. They showed that off, and as soon as they showed the ship, I'm like, oh my god. This is because they showed off Marvel and they showed the ship and everything, and I'm like, this is Guardians of the Galaxy, and this game looks fantastic.
I completely disagree.
Yeah.
It looks as good as the Avengers game
Oh,
that
really?
came out last year,
Okay.
which was not very good. And you only get to play as Peter Quill,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm I'm
Yeah.
I'm fine with that though.
It's Peter Quill and friends, not Guardians of the Galaxy.
Peter Quill and friends. I think
I
it's different because I think I really like the visuals. It's a different type of game than Avengers because it's not it's not like an online you know endless wave looter kind of game. This is a very much a story game where it's sort of like that Mass Effect Life is Strange style where the decisions you make affect the story. And I think it makes sense just to have that, the one focus character in Peter Quill. And it makes sense to be Peter Quill because you are the leader of the team. As much as I would love to play as Groot. But yeah, I'm really interested in this game.
Yeah, I definitely I don't I didn't like how long they made us watch it for. I feel like after the gameplay, then they could have cut it then.
Yeah.
Because I did appreciate the gameplay because it gave you an idea of like how it was going to be played because they always like that like what Icy always says, no gameplay, no hype. So like, it showed like what kind of the fighting style because that's another thing too that I feel sometimes games fall short on is like the fighting. Because I feel like if I ever knew the fighting style of any of Xenoblade Chronicle game, I would have never played it. So it's so I didn't mind it, but I felt like they just spent a way too much time on it. But you could tell that that's the title that they really wanted to hype.
Yeah.
And that they're really pushing for.
I think that and the
So
Final Fantasy game at the end are the ones that they wanted to show. I
yeah,
will say,
yeah.
despite all that, despite all my hype and enjoying everything that they showed off for Guardians of the Galaxy, they did not need to show that. They did not need to have this event because, there's disappointing Final Fantasy announcements. Life is Strange showed up on other showcases. Guardians of the Galaxy showed up during the Nintendo presentation at the end of E3. So, yeah, they didn't really need this. They could have had their own like separate deep dive video on Guardians of the Galaxy for all this extra stuff, and just showed the trailer on the Nintendo showcase. So yeah, the Square Enix did not need to be at E3 in my mind.
And it wasn't that long either, was it?
It's an hour long. Showing this
really?
video, yeah.
I feel like it was just all Guardians of the Galaxy, and then it was like
it was like
and then this,
20
and then this,
minutes,
and then this.
20 minutes or so, about 18 minutes of Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy. Yeah.
Just felt so long.
The Ubisoft, they had like a lot of like Far Cry stuff there too. They showed off Riders Republic.
Yeah. Ooh, another thing which I found out later. I think goes back into the Bethesda games because it's kind of in that area. Is it's like it's called a Eiyuden Chronicle. I think I'm pretty sure I'm like butchering the name. It's like Chronicle and Rising or something like that.
Okay.
And it comes out in 2023. It is the same creators who made Suikoden, like the whole Suikoden series and stuff like that, which is our PS1, PS2 games. So this is like I found that interesting because Suikoden is one of my favorite games, like Suikoden 4, even though everyone hates that one.
Where was that?
But it's like that I think it was the Bethesda.
Oh,
and it was really quick.
Okay, during Xbox?
Yeah, and it was one of the things that I wrote down, and then it wasn't until later that I had a conversation with someone where they're like, "Oh, and then there's this that's like from the Suikoden studio." And I was like, "Hold up. What?" So that I was like, we passed it, and I was like, wait. So that's like, yeah, that's definitely a game I'm looking forward to.
I remember, I'm just like scrolling through what some of the Ubisoft stuff was. I feel like their showcase was a little lackluster too.
I don't think I was there for the Ubisoft.
I don't think you were. Yeah, they showed off like some new games, but it was mostly like games that they've already announced or games that are already released and they have like updates and DLC for. So, I feel like that didn't really deserve its own E3 showcase. But the questionable thing for me and Icy, while we were watching, was the CEO, the Ubisoft CEO, made like his own, like he was talking about how much the company means, and like you know,
Is he
the
leaving?
workplace and everything. No, but he has faced backlash over the past few years about horrible work environments from his employees. So
Really?
and like sexual harassment and stuff like that. So me and him were like, it's kind of an odd decision to have him in the E3 showcase. Maybe he should have just taken a step back away from the camera this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we thought that was weird. But yeah,
Interesting.
I don't think because like a majority of the showcase, from what I recall, was add-ons for existing games. So I don't really think there should have been a showcase for Ubisoft either, for the most part. And there's a lot of
Oh,
missing stuff too. Like I think maybe we might give like a pass to Ubisoft, because they're saying it's like it's not one big showcase that they have for the year. It's sort of like a Nintendo Direct. They're going to have other Ubisoft forwards throughout the year. So like the big games
yeah.
like that we're missing, that I was looking forward to, which was Beyond Good and Evil 2. That game, and I said if it's not showcased at E3, it's dead. To me, it's dead. So
Yeah.
that game's probably not coming out. But if it were to be showcased, maybe it's later on in the year for another Ubisoft forward. But I still don't think that's an excuse. Like they
Mhm.
should have put their big guns at E3.
Yeah, just to be like, these are the great things that are coming out. Also, too, another game that I'm also kind of hyped for, that it was like an indie game. It is Honey, I Joined a Cult.
I think I remember that one. Let
Yeah,
me
and
see.
it's basically, I don't know if you've played any
Oh, it's not coming
um
up.
like The Escapist or The Survivalists, or kind of games like that. It looks like it's by the same people. It's like what's it? They usually call it top down, and it's like
Oh,
pixel
the Escapist's the one where you're in the prison,
in a
right?
Yeah,
prison and
yeah,
you try and get out,
Yeah,
right? So this
yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah.
almost the same thing, but instead you work for a cult, and I feel like you have to try and convince people to join your cult.
yeah.
And then it's like there's one scene where like these people are in a brainwashing machine and they're floating around, and then the next room next to them is like the CEO and it's raining money on them. Like, and it just looks hilarious to
Was that during
play.
the PC gaming showcase?
I think so because it's
Okay,
on the
yeah,
end of my
that makes
notes, and then
sense.
there was
Yeah.
Rune Factory 5 that came. But yeah, that was like I was like, that's another one because people are like, what's game? Like, what game are you really excited for? I'm like, Honey, I Joined a Cult. Really looking forward to that one. They're like, what? I'm
I
just like, it just looks great.
I just want to bring, because we're running short on time on the podcast. I do want to mention that despite the PC gaming show and the Future Game show being so long, there was a lot of great gems in there. So if you can like look up a recap and see the like trailers of some of the games that were announced, because to be honest, the segments in between for like the PC game show and everything kind of cringeworthy to watch. But the game
They
trailers I think
always
are
are.
worth. Yeah, the other one I want to say is like really cringy is limited run games. They try to do their own skits as well. They don't pull it
Mm.
off nearly as well as Devolver Digital does. So that was kind of like tough to watch too. But they
Mhm.
had some cool announcements. Devolver Digital also had some cool announcements. I have that written somewhere, but I don't see where I wrote it down. Um, but yeah, there's other smaller showcases that were there. So like E3 had its own indie showcase. They showed off Fallen Aces, which is sort of like a classic Doom style first person view, but it's a LA. It's like a noir style gangster brawler in a Doom kind of motion. So that looks really
Interesting.
cool. Um, Extra Galactica, I know had like a really cool trailer. I think it was a side scroller if I remember. Um, During the Freedom Game Showcase, so that's one I definitely recommend watching, because I think there's probably going to be something for everyone there. They showed off a game called Koromon, which looks like Pokemon but with Zelda puzzles.
Guns. Oh no, was that the same one, or is that a different?
That's a different Pokemon game. That was like a Japanese game that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even remember the
This
name for that one.
with guns.
No, yeah, there's a Pokemon game with guns, but I don't remember what it's called.
So I was like, it's that one, right?
Yeah, and then I know Devolver Digital had like something interesting. They're like a limited time physical only release that you have to like pre-order, and it looks like a really old school retro game that can't remember what it's called. I don't even have it written down here. But it had a funny intro, and I just laugh every time I see it. Upload VR had some cool VR games that they showed off. There's one called there was a Nerf game that they showed off, and there's one called In the Hoop, which is it's just a basketball, like those like arcade basketball games, where like you just toss it.
I've got a VR headset. I was telling Till earlier,
yeah,
and I feel like that's something I can't find on VR. Is a good old school like arcade game.
Yeah,
that's got all those different games in it.
Yeah,
check out In the Hoop because you might like it. Because I saw that, I'm like, yeah, that looks fun. But yeah, let's end in
Nintendo Direct.
Let's end with the Nintendo Direct. I'm assuming you watched that, right, Court?
Yeah, I was there. It was me and Zarango.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah. What did you think about the Nintendo Direct?
I mean, I was really pumped for it, and I heard some people say, "Oh yeah, like it's what saved E3," and I was like, I don't think so.
You thought the Xbox One was better?
Yeah, just the way they pumped out games, and they were like, it's day one. Like they're really pushing like their subscription based thing. Like definitely, they had the best presentation to sell you stuff, because I feel like that's what E3 really was, is like they're trying to sell you on like buying these games and getting you hyped for it, and they did a really good job at that. But Nintendo was like, well, like I liked the first scene where he drops the characters down, and it's like just a new like Smash character, because that's what everyone expects now. Like every E3 Direct, or not E3, Nintendo Direct, they want, like, they're like, what new character are we getting today? And also, like with the Mario Party Superstars, I was a part of me is like, oh, it's gonna be so much fun to play because you can play online with your friends. I'm like, but why didn't they just add this DLC to the Mario Party game already for the Switch? Because that has literally 4 levels. That's it, just it, and they just left it forever. And I'm like, but now you're gonna come out with this and make it its own standalone game from like the old ones. Why don't you just make them into DLCs to add to that one? That people like, because then you're making them buy the whole game plus the expansion to it.
Yep.
So I was like, I don't understand that, like, at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on the decision. So when they showed it off, it seemed like, oh, they're adding these classic maps as DLC for their existing Mario Party game. But no, this is a separate game. So this is a different Mario Party game.
Are they going to be like, and we're going to stop making this at one point in time, just like they did with the other All-Star Mario game?
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. But it looks like the last Mario game, or the last Mario Party game, didn't have online support until, I think, what was it, like a couple years later? So, but the game's launching with that, and it's maps from the N64 era, and it's like a best of collection of mini games, which they did do on the 3DS. So they had like the best, like they had like Mario Party mini game collection for the 3DS. I can't remember what it's called. So this seems like kind of like a mix of that. So I'm torn because I really like the idea, and to be honest, I'll probably buy this because it's a fun Mario Party game. But yeah, I really feel like it could have been DLC to their existing Mario Party game.
Yeah. That so I was a little bit a bit bummed over that. And then like then there's Metroid Dread, which was like I feel like a lot of people were hyped for that. Now, mind you, I will be playing my first Metroid game really soon, and I'm like, which you'll be joining me for that, Till. But I've never been a fan, but they're great games. like everything that I've ever heard about them, like everyone speaks so highly of them. So I'm really excited. And then with the new like Dread coming out, and there's a collector's that's supposed to be coming out really soon that people can hopefully pre-order.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people are gonna want. And then I love Kakarot, and the fact that it's going over to Switch, I'm just like, hell yeah. Like, love me some DBZ. But then the Zelda game, they kind of showed some of the trailer for, and now everyone's like picking out like little tidbits like to try and figure out what it's going to be, like where Link has like a guardian arm, and
Right.
everyone's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, I
like
saw
really
that.
focusing on that. And apart, okay, I don't know if like any, like I get really jealous when I watch those like trailers because I just really want to play it and I can't. And I can't watch it because it's just I'm just gonna get absurdly jealous. It's just like times when I used to watch like Pokemon. At the end, they would have like the songs at the end that they would show clips during the songs of future episodes, and I would get so mad and jealous that I hadn't seen those episodes. And I'm like, where are these people watching these? You know? So I can't watch I like just that the trailer in general, I'm just like, oh, it's gonna be sick. But then everything that people are pulling from it, I'm getting so jealous because I just really want to play the game, and I'm like, just want to play it.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. So, and then WarioWare, I'm actually really stoked for WarioWare
I don't think I've
because
ever
that
played a
was like
WarioWare game.
it was so great for the Wii, like by far best game ever. Like when a friend of mine had that game, and we just had family over, and they really like they did all the motion controls that you could possibly think of. It was the most ridiculous looking thing, super low graphics and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
by far the funnest game to play with your friends, to look ridiculous and to be doing something on screen that's also just as ridiculous.
So I'm confused about
10 out of 10.
something for the WarioWare game. So I've always heard of it as like a party game, right?
Yeah.
But at some point in this trailer, they said now you can play 2-player. So was it not always 2-player?
I don't.
Because they're showing off the 2-player.
I think it was a 1 to 2 player thing. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Or they made you switch hands, so it's like you
it's
could
like you
play
pass
multiple
around the
people, but
controller.
yeah, I feel like
Okay.
that was like one of the things was like you were passing by, like, mind you, like this was years ago, and it was that one night, and I just had the most amount of fun. So, but yeah, so I am pretty excited for that one because it was like such a ridiculous game. But I'm also super excited for Shin Megami Tensei 5. So like, and I already pre-ordered the collectors for that and stuff like that. You know what? I don't think they saved E3, but they definitely did have a really good showcase.
I thought they had a fantastic showcase.
Yeah.
I think there was something for everyone. They showed that.
Yes, something for everyone. Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah, the thing that got me hyped was Metroid Dread. Like I haven't even played any of those classic Metroid games. I've only ever played Metroid Prime, but I do like those style of games because I played a lot of stuff that's been inspired by Metroid. So it's definitely in my wheelhouse. I do want to go through all the games in the series because I feel like I would really like them. But this looks fantastic. It's got great visuals. That suit looks really good. And those enemies, just like having them like always be a constant threat and everything. I think this game looks fantastic. So yeah, I'm most hyped about this game for sure.
Yeah.
Did you?
I don't get why people think it looks creepy, and I'm like, it's a
creepy.
robot.
It is.
I'm like, it's a robot. It's not
a creepy robot.
Like what's his name?
From did you see how fast it looks? It crawls and it's
Soul Calibur. What's his name? That's who he reminds me of. Is like Volo or whatever.
Yeah, thing. Look how like quick and agile it is. Like that thing's always on your ass.
If they made it look like an alien, I'd be a little bit more terrified. But if it's a robot, I'm just like, oh, whatever. Not scary enough.
Did you catch any of the Nintendo stuff, Matt?
No, I'm not a big Nintendo guy. So I did buy a Switch, but that was only because I wanted to play Animal Crossing.
Oh, okay.
Nice. I mean, that's a perfectly great excuse.
Yeah.
And like it was. Yeah. Did you see the memes with like with the Smash announcement where he's dropping off like like the other character because he's just so big and strong, and then it's like him dropping off like the Animal Crossing cake because they like had like literally no coverage on like Animal Crossing updates at all during like their direct, so they're just like, I don't love you anymore. It's
I
just
think they're
like
doing.
Andy dropping Woody.
I think I saw
like-
something on the Animal Crossing Twitter the other day. So they still do updates for that game, right? Like,
Yeah, they have to. It's
yeah,
every season they come out
yeah.
with new little cute things, which I'm like, I've just ran out of space on my island, so there's just like I don't know what else to do. But
Well,
yeah.
that's I don't think. Are you interested in Mario Golf at all?
I mean, I really want to play it.
Yeah,
Like apparently it's super fun, and
it
there was
already came out,
already
right?
like, yeah, it just
Yeah,
came out. Apparently it's super fun, like especially like speed golf.
yeah, that's what I've
It's
heard. Yeah.
just it's like Mario Party, but you're just playing golf and you're racing and you're just trying to hit it, and they are going to be making free updates for it, so like new courses and everything like that. So
That's good.
it just kind of, it wasn't, I couldn't justify buying it because I had no one to play it with, unless like if
Yeah,
my
that's
dad were to ever visit, I would buy that game specifically just to play with my dad because he loves golf games.
yeah. I might wait for a
Loves.
sale. Like they sometimes do those sales in the holidays, so maybe they'll do something.
Yeah, where you
Then
save
maybe I'll.
$20.
Yeah, because that seems like a good
It.
fun party game, and like a lot of games that I buy on my Switch is like, what's a good party game I can play with when, like, we're gathered together and we are playing multiplayer games, and now that that's gonna start happening again. I'm looking at games
Yeah,
like Mario Golf, where it's like, well, that might be fun to play like multiplayer.
yeah.
Um,
Would recommend. It's a ton of
yeah.
fun. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's about. We're already past the time here, but
Yeah.
yeah. Any closing thoughts on E3 for each of you?
Just like, maybe condense, like now that everything is like the digital age, like everything's online streaming and stuff, they don't need to have like these huge showcases because they're no longer, um,
What
like,
happened?
where am I?
Yeah. No, keep
You
talking.
guys,
Keep talking.
like, can you see me? But yeah, it's just like now with like the digital age and like live streaming and stuff like that, I feel like they need to change to that. And like in a way where I know they want to make it into this really big event, as if you're there and you're like, it's not that anymore. Like you got to adapt to like the new circumstances by condensing it and like being more concise with like presentation and like what you're going to show and stuff. Put it down to 2 days of just condensed awesomeness would be sick. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts summed up as well. Like, because between work and other things and university, if I can get all that information over a couple of days instead of having to sit around for a week and
Yeah.
try to catch it, it would work so much better for myself.
I will say the one thing I didn't mention. I did mention that EA has skipped E3. They're doing their own event later. Activision, I think, had some game announcements like sprinkled in the other showcases, but they didn't really do their own thing. Sega skipped out. But the big one, that's usually always there is PlayStation. And they've been doing their PlayStation State of Plays recently, showcasing like individual games at a time. I think that's what they're planning on doing. I don't think we fully know what like PlayStation's plans are for like games coming out for the rest of the year. And like something like E3, I think would have been something to tell gamers, like this is a reason to buy a PlayStation 5. Ratchet and Clank is the imminent thing, and games like that are soon, like close releases or coming soon. But they didn't have that Xbox showcase, saying like here's what's coming out this year and next year, and it's all going to be on Xbox or even like PC or whatever, wherever you want to play it. But these are our games, like these are the games that we have, and I think PlayStation kind of missed that opportunity, saying we have games that are coming out and this is what to look forward to. But hopefully we'll see more state of plays from them coming soon. I'm in agreement with you guys. I think E3 should be different. I think they should evolve with the times and what's going on, especially with recent events in the world. And I think things should be condensed. I don't think you need to find stuff to fill time. If that's what you're doing for your showcase, then it's too long. That you need to condense it. If you're not doing an in-person thing, then the actual event doesn't need to be an in-person length of time for an online presentation. And a lot of these showcases, rather than having them split, can be, put into one showcase, So yeah, I completely agree. I think any publishers, if you don't have anything to show off, you don't have to be at E3. They could take a lesson from EA and PlayStation. There's a reason why they didn't show up. And
what's EA gonna do? Be like, we got basketball.
they just announced
soccer, and
I
so
think
the usual.
They just announced. I put it like a news article out here, from Press Square. So BioWare is skipping EA Play, so there's no Dragon Age or Mass Effect. So they're already announcing preemptively, hey, some of these games are not even going to be at our showcase. So they know that if they don't have anything to showcase, they'd rather not show up, because you know what? Nobody's talking about how bad EA was at E3 because they weren't there.
But they saved face.
Everybody's talking about Bandai Namco was a waste of time.
I was a little disappointed with that one too.
Square Enix didn't need to be there. So maybe if you don't have anything to showcase, then just don't show up. That's my thing. Next big event so far, there could be something last minute that gets announced before then, but it looks like EA Play. I think it's on July 22nd. I have not talked to any of you yet, but I will be available that day to live react to it. So hopefully we will do some sort of group live reaction. Whoever is going to be there, I don't know. And that will be up on our YouTube channel too. But this is going to be the end of the podcast here. So I want to thank everyone for joining me. Before we leave off, Court, where can people find you, and do you want to plug anything?
Everyone can find me at twitch.tv/CourtFTW, or just simply, I run the Streamers Unknown website, the SU Army for Discord, anything, like use the hashtag Streamers Unknown. You're going to find like my Instagram, Streamers Unknown Instagram, which is basically like what I'm running and stuff like that, and other people are part of the community. So those two tags, CourtFTW and Streamers Unknown.
And Matt, is there anything that you would like to plug as well?
Yeah, sure. I have an Instagram account for my photography, which you can find on Instagram at Pending Things.
And I am at Till Plays everywhere if you want to check out my solo content. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. We will see you soon for another podcast. We'll talk about what's going on in the news. So for now, we'll see you next time.